Welcome to Grant's Prog Warehouse, and tonight I want to welcome Rand Kelly and Uncle Meat to the show. We are going to look at our top 10 Yes tracks. So let's get started right after this.
I personally have been in the band for 2 years, since it was formed with me and Chris. If you look over there, you'll see Chris. Just move over there. That's Christopher.
Well, I expect you're wondering why we're here tonight, quite honestly. Well, the thing is, you see, my name is Chris Squire.
Grant's Prog Warehouse, and I want to welcome Rand Kelly and Uncle Meat here tonight. Both of these gentlemen have been on the Contrarians. Rand's been on this show before, but Uncle Meat, I must say, this is his virgin episode. I have seen Uncle Meat on the Contrarians. I've hosted shows with him, but now I've got the man here in person. Tonight we are looking at Yes. Now, Yes as a band doesn't need much introduction. When you think prog, most people think Yes. And I would think that, yeah, they are at the top of the heap. So I'm not even going to introduce Yes, but what we're going to look at tonight are our top 10 favorite Yes tracks. Now, I want to say, before we go on, gentlemen, this was not easy because I would have to say that anything prior to let's say the Atlantic, the Adco years, anything in that era, it's hard for me to exclude anything. But I gave it a shot. We'll see how it goes. And we're going to go an hour, so it's going to be fairly quick. We've got 10 tracks, kids, that we're going to go through. Now, I must say before I do my list, I have 10 tracks. And it's impossible for me to rate them from 1 to 10. I don't know about you gentlemen, but I don't know. We'll just talk about our 10 tracks. Is it really, Rand, you have to agree with me. It is hard to rank. Think about it. You cannot go from 1 to 10 with Yes. Or
I'm going to.
Okay. Well, Rand's going to try, and that's who we're going to start out with tonight. Rand Kelly. You've seen Rand, like I said. Contrarians, Sea of Tranquility. Here's here tonight, and we're going to talk Yes. Rand, what's your number 10? And then we'll go over to Uncle Meat.
Well,
Rand, what's your number 10?
First, I'd like to say, Grant, thank you so much. I appreciate you getting me on this show. And, everybody knows by now that this is my favorite band since 1971. Yep. So there you go, 52 years already going. So I'm going to choose number 10. I'm not doing props this time because it's just too hard with songs. But I'm going to do number 10. Gates of Delirium from Relayer, 1974.
I thought you didn't like Relayer.
Phenomenal song. Oh yeah, I love Relayer.
Oh, maybe it was one of your girlfriends didn't like Relayer.
Yeah.
What was the story behind that?
My ex-girlfriend in Sacramento, we had gotten really close through Tales from Topographic Oceans when we first met and came out. And we kind of turned that into a Bible and had our own church sessions in a room with candles. And
sounds kind of like a cult.
Going great. And then Relayer got released, and me and my friends were listening to that. And she walked in on Sound Chaser, and she just said, "What the hell are you guys listening to?" We said, "This is the new Yes." And she goes, "I hate it." Well, so we broke up right after that.
Well, no, good for you, Rand. Break up because you don't want to be. You don't want to be somebody that doesn't like Relayer. I'm just
saying. If a lady doesn't like Relayer, I'm not going to not play it because she doesn't like it. That's not how I am. Yeah, when you're in my Volkswagen bus, we roll as I roll. You listen to whatever
I hear you.
I'm not.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible that no female has ever liked Relayer. It's not impossible.
I know plenty of females that love the album. So
well,
I mean, exaggerating.
I know we're getting on a tangent, but I don't know any females who are into any prog at all. So Rand, I'm going to give you some props that you do. but I do not. I just
Yeah.
yeah.
It's no big deal.
Oh,
That's
it's a
true
big
enough.
deal.
Do you want me
it's
to
a-
describe what I think of the song? Or
Please go. I know we went on a tangent, but we're fine. Go ahead.
yeah, well, this is the introduction of Patrick Moraz. First time people heard him in the band. Yes, I already knew who he was because I was a fan of Refugee. But this Refugee wanted to do a second album, but Yes killed the band because they hired Patrick Moraz to be on Relayer. And the first song on Relayer is Gates of Delirium, which is a full-sided song, just like another album that they did. And it's just an amazing song. It goes through, it's basically Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace set to music is basically what it is.
Mhm.
There's a really
Brilliant.
cool lead up to a big war, a musical war, and then it resolves itself at the very end and goes into a peace thing called Soon. And it's just phenomenal. I've seen it several times live, mostly with Chris Squire, but I've also seen with Billy Sherwood, and he did a fantastic job. And I would like to say on Soon, he played fretless bass. So apparently he always did everything the way Chris did. So Chris had recorded that last section with a fretless, but on stage he didn't change over because I've seen him do it.
I know what fretless bass did Chris have? I don't remember that.
Chris used a Guild fretless. It's for kind of a weird looking thing, but it can be seen in a picture. There's a black and white picture on his wall where you can see a big, like a cello bass, like one of those big basses with the violin bow.
Yeah.
And next to that on the wall is the Guild fretless. And he also used it in the Remembering on Telstrographic Oceans, and he had it mounted on one of those stands, just like Steve Howe did for years. And he used it.
Yeah.
This is the one thing I wanted to see when they came to Sacramento in 1974. I wanted to see the fretless, and guess what? Yes, dropped the Remembering before they got to California, before they got to Sacramento. I was so
lucky you, Rand. Lucky you.
I'm curious, that fretless bass, is that what he uses on the Silent Wings of Freedom?
No, he uses the regular Rickenbacker on that.
Oh, okay, because I remember thinking that was fretless, but I don't know.
To the best of my knowledge, the only times that Chris Squire used fretless, and I got to meet him in 2001 down in Clear Lake, California, and I asked him about this too. He said he used it on Close to the Edge, he used it on Telstra Topographic Oceans, and he can't remember if he used it on Relayer or not. So he might have used it. He probably used it on the end of Gates of Delirium.
Fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
Maybe. Cool.
But he's really good. He's really good. You got to have a good ear to use those basses. I own one, and you have to play on the line to get in tune.
I used to have
it's just like steel guitar or slide guitar.
I used to have a 1977 precision bass that was fretless. Factory. It wasn't someone pulled out the frets.
Right. But that's what I have. I have an Ibanez that somebody pulled out the frets.
Well, my P bass it was a maple neck. It was factory, but God, I shouldn't have sold it. I think I bought that for like $450 back in, God, I can't remember. Oh, well, it doesn't matter now. Old news. So Gates of Delirium, Rand Kelly. Number 10. Cool. Excellent. Uncle Meat. Let's give us your number 10.
Okay, my number 10. Well, let's just say this was very hard. I did my list a few weeks ago and then just didn't touch it again because I would just drive myself insane.
Yeah, it probably would change. Well, I
get it. I made my choice and I didn't touch it.
Like my honorable mentions list pretty much reads like a Yes greatest hits list. Like itself anyway. But anyway, my number 10, both my 9 and 10 are not necessarily my favorite Yes songs, but I wanted to include them for personal reasons or what have you. So my number 10. I started like a metal guy, and now I'm kind of more into yacht rock and melody, and that's really for a long time what I really love in music. So my number 10 is from the album Tormato, and it is a lone Chris Squire writing credit on the song Onward, which
it's beautiful.
I love that.
adore the song, especially the live version on the Keys to Ascension album, which we'll hear more about coming up. I just love the song. I love like them showing that their roots really were the Beatles, and they are a vocal band, and an incredible vocal band. So yeah, my number 10 would be Onward from the Tormato
Holy
album.
mackerel. What a great
Can I just
choice.
say-
I was
Can I
worried
just-
that no one would mention Tormato on this show.
I
I
love
love Tormato.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think it's weaker than anything that came before. Well,
Great album.
that's a pretty strong statement.
If we're doing honorable
But-
mentions at the end, I could probably pull up some Tomato songs real quick.
Oh, there's another one that was real close, but
All right.
it didn't quite make it for me.
So, oh my
I would just like
God,
to
me,
say
that's
that
a
became a-
wonderful, that's wonderful.
Excuse me.
Thank you.
That became a huge wedding song for Yes fans. They used it as a, like a wedding dance kind of thing after the ceremony.
Yeah, I can see that.
Really?
A beautiful song.
All right.
Beautiful.
Excellent choice. Well, my number 10, a lot of my choices might not make sense, but how could when I mention this, you're going to go, really? That's a number 10? But like I told you, gentlemen, it was very hard for me to pick anything for this. This is why I don't like to do ranking videos. Nothing against ranking videos. Everybody does them, but it's very difficult for me because anything from, well, the entire Yes catalog up until Big Generator, I really have no issues with. But my number 10, and please, anybody who's going to make a comment, don't drag me over the coals. But my number 10 is Starship Trooper off the Yes album from 1971. And you're going, oh my God, really? Starship Trooper is your number 10? But I do want to say that none of these, I'm not trying to rank any of these. All these are great. These are just my top 10 great tracks. So what can I say about Starship Trooper? It's like one of the first epics. I mean, it's got what, 3 sections? It's 9 minutes long. Life Seeker, Disillusion, and Worm. What can I say about Starship Trooper? Back in the day, this used to be played on FM rock radio all the time. Now I don't think it gets any love at all. But if you're looking at the Yes album, it's one of the greatest tracks on here. But people are thinking, Yours Is No Disgrace and stuff like this. Starship Troopers, I think, needs more love. And I don't think there's anything weak about the track. I think Steve Howe sounds great. Chris Squire's bass playing is incredible. Tony Kaye's keyboard. There is, all I'm going to say, this is a great track. That's my number 10. Most people already know what Starship Trooper is. I don't have to go into it, but that's my number 10. I don't know. Over to you, Rand. Kelly, what's your number 9?
Well, first of all, can I add real quick that?
Please do. Please let. I want a fun fact. So go ahead.
Okay. At the very end of the song, we all know that. By the way, that's little 2 things above the U. It's pronounced worm.
Oh, the umlaut.
Yeah. So you don't say worm. It's worm. Like wear 'em out.
Well, if it's German, it's worm. Because umlauts, when you do umlauts, you do like an O sound.
Oh, well, you might be right. I know. I just
took German in high school. I'm assuming that's German. I don't know. Worm. It's like you do. I'm not going to go into it.
Here's the fun fact about that piece. It was written by Steve Howe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It came from a band that he was in before he joined Yes called Bodast. And on that album that they put out, the Bodast tapes, they finally released it after he got famous. It's called Nether Street.
Odd.
But it does mean
And it's a unique song because it's 3 chords that just repeat incessantly forever.
But it does mean worm.
G, E flat, C.
German.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with you on that. I don't know.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just trying to. It's all good.
Okay.
All right, Rand. Thanks for
Great
that bit
song.
of trivia.
Yeah. My number 9.
What's your number 9?
Awaken!
Oh my God.
I love
Really?
Awaken. Yeah.
I did not choose that.
I
Great
chose it
song.
because I think it's the best song on Going for the One. It's 15 minutes of pure prog genius, I think. And it does a really cool thing that people call the circle of fifths, if you're a musician, folks. But it doesn't make sense to me because the chord progression, and I'll do it with the guitar real quick because you
Oh
can't
my
hear it.
goodness. Look at this.
This is an E, this is an A, this is a D, this is a G, this is a C, this is an F, and they call that a circle of fifths, but those are 4 steps up each time. So I always called it circle of fours, but anyway, I get argued so many times I gave up. But because I just go by logic, but apparently it doesn't happen to work with that.
You know,
But anyway,
there's not
get
much
off of that.
logic left in the internet. So, you know.
To get off of that, this is the return of Rick Wakeman after he did his solo stuff and ended up doing a disastrous King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table show on ice, which he just lost a fortune. So that's why he kind of wanted to get back into Yes, because he probably figured it was a way to. But and he did enjoy the guys.
Possibly, yeah.
They said, hey, we're done writing weird music. He said he heard Relay and he goes, he was glad he wasn't on it because he said I didn't feel like I could have contributed anything to that album. He goes, that album just didn't make any sense to me whatsoever as a musician. So I don't know if I buy that story, but it's kind of a clever
I
marketing.
think that's all BS.
I think
He's just going to downplay it
PR.
because he wasn't on it. But
Yeah.
what do I know? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's PR. But anyway,
Yeah,
Going for
Relayer's
the One,
great.
you guys, Going for the One was going to be called the new Yes album. They changed it and decided to name it after the opening track.
Mhm.
But anyway, the closing track is what we're talking about here, Awaken. I just think it's a masterpiece. I got to see the 8-piece band do it twice in the same year in 1991.
Really?
And it was
Nice.
just phenomenal. The hair on your arms and your back just something shoots up right through your body when you get a rush. And this song, when they do those big chords at the end, oh my God, I hear 8 people do that. It was 2 keyboards, 1 bass, 2 guitar players, 2 drummers. It was just mind blowing, and 1 singer. But I just think Awaken is just absolute masterpiece. Rick Wakeman is the hero of that song. He does this really long organ solo, and it just lulls you into kind of a dream state. And then they just clobber you with these chords, and Steve Howe goes absolutely berserk on the Telecaster. This guy right here. But that's my number 9.
Excellent.
Let's just say that I was lucky enough to see the same eight member concert on the Union tour in Toronto at Skydome.
Were they in the round?
Yes, and I was 3rd row. It was pretty amazing. Let's just say there's more to come about that song.
Well, I saw one show in April of 91 that was in the round. And then the second one was in Concord. The first one was in Oakland. The second one was in August, and they weren't in the round. And it had a whole different feeling because when they were in the round, we were higher than them and looking down on them in the middle of the stadium or the middle of the arena, because it's really interesting how they could do that when it spins. But when they were in Concord, we were down low and looking up at them on the stage, and it just had a whole different feel to it. You couldn't compare it. I just think in the round was the best. And
then when I saw in the round, we were on the ground looking up at them, like the opposite of what you just said. So that's kind of neat.
Yeah, that's cool.
Wow.
I saw 2 tours in the round: the Tormato tour and the Union tour.
Wow, I didn't even know they did one for Toronto. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's all kinds of YouTube videos of that, and there's a DVD you can buy called Live in Philly,
Hmm.
which is right. I got it right.
So live in Philly's in the round. What year?
Hang
Wait a
on.
minute. Tormato was what? That would be what? 79?
78, 79.
78. I don't know how long the tour lasted.
This guy here doesn't have a very good set list, but it's in the round.
Cool.
It's at Philadelphia, Spectrum, Philadelphia.
Nice.
Cool. All right,
Great.
cool. Excellent,
Great
Rand.
stuff.
That's a great pick. Meat, let's go over to you. What's your number?
Okay, my number 9. Once again, both 10 and 9. There are songs that I have had way more of a connection with in the past with Yes, but let's just say from more recent listening in the last few years, I have grown to absolutely love a sort of a hidden gem in a way. I mentioned the Keys to Ascension album, which I love, and kind of like the Genesis and Kiss did by putting studio tracks on side 4. Yes did that with a song called Be the One, and I absolutely love it. It's about 9 minutes. It's just a lovely version. There's some great Alan White drumming in it. It's just, everything is great in it. I had to include it because lately, like in the last few years, like when I've been old, I feel like I really feel I like listening to Yes. I've been going to Keys to Ascension and Be the One a lot. So that's my number 9.
That's a good choice.
Be the One.
Holy crap. I'm sure Rand gives that an approval.
I've got a fun fact about Be the One.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Give your fun fact.
It was kind of unique because it was the first time that Yes ever put up a song where Steve Howe played bass and Chris Squire played guitar.
Did
Really?
Chris play acoustic on that?
No, he played a thing called a photon electric.
What is a photon electric?
Some guitar he found that was a real bizarre thing, but it's a 6-string, but it plays kind of like a bass, but he played chords on it. But it's not low notes. It's the same strings as a guitar, or the same height as a guitar, I guess, like up there, And Steve Howe plays fretless bass on that.
Oh, I'll be damned. Uh-oh, we got an emergency.
Yeah, I almost knocked my 7-Up into my mini Moog.
Don't, damn it, Rand, don't hurt the mini Moog.
Yeah.
All right, cool, excellent. Thanks, Uncle Meat. That was an excellent choice. Now, like I said, here's my number 9. Well, actually, this is my number 8 and number 9 because these kind of go hand in hand. My gateway drug to Yes was Fragile. And I was a wee lad, and that album really made a big impression on me. I'm not saying it's my favorite record, but it's up there. So I'm gonna list Long Distance Runaround and The Fish, because I think that those two kind of go together. I think some of Chris.
I think so too.
Yeah, well, there's my 8 and 9. I'm whatever. It's my show. I'm my rules. So that's my 8 and 9. But yeah, you're right, Rand. I think they belong together. I think Fragile has some of the best Chris Squire bass parts ever.
Oh yeah.
Ever. Other than Drama. I think Drama and Fragile are where he is on fire.
Indeed.
Indeed. But The Fish is all Chris Squire playing bass. How can I not include that? Because when I was a kid, well, I still love Chris Squire. But when I was first starting out playing guitar and stuff, it was Paul McCartney, Chris Squire. Paul McCartney, Chris Squire, well, and Geddy Lee. Paul, Chris and Getty. I was like addicted. So this is like my gateway drug into Yes. My number 9 and number 8 is Long Distance Run Around in the Fish, because the bass playing on that record, absolutely phenomenal. And I do believe if you go out on YouTube, you can get like isolated tracks.
Mhm.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, go Rand, look at it. Look, isolated Chris Squire. And there's a lot of stuff like from Fragile. Unbelievable. Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. Brilliant
cool.
stuff.
There's at least 4 melodies going on in that solo. I think one of them where it goes, you know,
Yeah,
that
let
one
me
ballad,
ask you this.
that might be a fretless.
I don't think so. I think that's the Rick. But let me ask you this. What amp was he using? Because I understood that back then, I could be wrong, but I thought he was playing through like Fender guitar amps or like through Dual Showmans or something.
When I first saw him, pictures of him in the magazines like Hit
Mhm.
Parader and Circus,
Mhm.
he was playing through, and so was Steve Howe, an amp called Sound City.
But I thought like on Fragile, he was playing through Fenders.
Well, he
no.
possibly could be. But I'm just saying what I saw on stage,
Yeah.
pictures on stage.
And then he
In
used Sons.
1971, during the Yes album,
Mhm.
they were using Sound City amps. I think you can see it in Yes, in the Years Is No Disgrace video that they have.
The key to his sound is playing through a tube amp and getting distortion out of it. That's how he does that. You
Yeah.
have to drive it to get that Rickenbacker with round strings to sound like that.
Well, you know, I did that video the other day on the Rickenbacker. I don't know if you got the chance to hear it, but I ran it through a Fender Rumble 25 and I set it up for 70s distortion. It's got little turns, and I just hit it like that. I didn't affect it or anything. I didn't do any adjusting, and I just hit the string, and it sounded just like Squire. And when back in those days for 71, 72, and I thought, oh, this is cool. I'll go with this. And that was what I would.
I thought I read somewhere else it might be running through a Marshall. I don't know. This is what I'm going to ask. Someone in the comments, please respond. What was Chris Squire playing through on Fragile? Because I think that was his best sounding bass.
Well, there's a video.
I don't know.
Out. There's a video on YouTube called Yes Sounding Out, and that shows the recording of Fragile, so you might see it in that video.
I think he's playing through like Dual Showmans or something, but I could be wrong. I'm merely just some guy. I really don't know. All right, Rand, let's take it over to you. What's your number? What are we on? 8?
I think so.
Yeah.
All right. What's your number 8?
My number 8 is Sound Chaser off of Relayer. My God,
damn,
what an
that's good.
incredible song. Just when I first heard it, I remember I was listening to it with a friend of mine who was really into Yes. We were in Sacramento, probably in my Volkswagen bus, and we put it on and we were listening to that, and it's just like, can you believe what we're hearing? I mean, it was just so amazing.
Right.
And that's why I don't think like my girlfriend liked it, because it was just, I think she said it's too busy. I can't enjoy music that sounds like it's out of its mind or something like that. And I'm going, well, I love this stuff. I'm eating this stuff up. This is right up my alley. But I never heard anything like it. And to this day, I don't think anybody's ever written anything like Sound Chaser, not before or after. I think 74.
Well, I don't even think Yes has ever written anything like Sound Chaser before or after.
And they're going to tour Relayer next year, and they're going to play Sound Chaser. They've already said for the whole album.
I've always liked Relayer. I don't know if I've ever loved it personally. I think I'm more into the more melodic side of Yes, and I mean, not that it's not melodic. It's just there's I don't know. There's a difference. Like I appreciate it tons, and I could listen to the album at any time and enjoy it, but I just appreciate more of the melody side of Yes.
There you go.
Well, I'm just kind of going still, but I was gonna say that it wasn't produced well. I made a comment when I was
Relayer wasn't produced well?
No, because it was recorded at Chris
It's a little
Squire's
weird
house
sounding
on a brand new studio, and they had a bad buzz for one thing. That it goes through the whole album. You can hear it on To Be Over in the real quiet sections of Soon. And Steven Wilson and Rhino also before that, 20 years ago, was able to get rid of the buzz. But it always had a murky, muddy sound to it. And then when you Relayer is, I affectionately call it the Telecaster album, because every guitar that Steve uses, except for the steel, is a Fender Telecaster. So it's got that real bitey sound, you know, that bridge pickup tone on a Telecaster is really bitey, and he uses it in Gates of Delirium, and he uses it in Sound Chaser. But in To Be Over, the last song, he tends to not have it be so bitey all the time, a little bit towards the end, maybe during some soloing. But you can make him sound sweet and pretty just for using the middle pickup. What's his face? Steve. What's his name? He played guitar for the Blues Brothers and
Steve Cropper.
Steve Cropper.
Steve Cropper said, "I always use the middle pickup switch for that."
Oh, so he'd use both pickups at once.
Yeah, so because he didn't want it to be like, you know, like annoying. You know,
I
and
get
back in
that.
those days, you really didn't want to be annoying. But anyways, Steve Howe didn't care. So he
Steve Howe.
he does his solo, what they call a soli, where you're by yourself and you just play like a lead like he does. And then Mraz comes in with those really strange jazz chords on the orchestron, not mellotron. But anyways, the playing that Steve Howe, where he goes does all that stuff, that is really awful on the original album, the very first pressings of the record, and the 8-track and the cassette. So I think that had a lot to do with putting people off. First of all, it had a bitey tone, the Telecaster, and then it wasn't produced very well because it was using Chris Squire's brand new studio, and apparently Eddie Offord had no idea how to use it because he had, you know, he had
no experience. Yeah.
Well, he had always worked at Advision Studios, where they did the Yes album and Fragile and Close to the Edge, and they did the Tales at Morgan Studios. So when they did Relayer at Chris's house, he's going like, "Hey man, you know, what do you want me to do?" And it always had that sound, you know, that not quite great yes tones and stuff. And I think that put up a lot of people off, especially if they had like a cassette deck like I had with really trebly speakers. It was horribly annoying on Sound Chaser. So I could see a lot of that, you know, but I love the tune. I mean, I don't think there's anything like it. And the jam session at the end in 6/8 or whatever it is
right.
With Mraz playing with himself over and over and over, and Steve Howe is really just kind of like, you know, like a Terry Kath rhythm in the background. And it's just mind-blowing stuff. I mean, I just remember, I got to learn how to play this stuff. I taught myself the bass line and everything. But yeah, it's a trip. That whole album is a trip. That whole song is a trip.
Well, it's funny you should mention the sound quality. I'd never picked up on that before.
Well, no,
I've got the Rhino remaster, but
yeah, the 2003 Rhino, it cleaned all that up. But Steven Wilson came up and made a 5.1 surround mix out of it, and that is mind-blowing.
Yeah, I couldn't even play that.
I like Steven Wilson's 5.1 mixes.
Yeah, he's good.
He's the Alan Parsons of 5.1, I think. Oh, yeah. I want to say one thing before I jump out.
Okay.
Sound Chaser. Yeah. There's a band that put out a song directly after this, and it's the first song, and I can't remember the title, but it's on an album called Armageddon with Keith Relf.
Prison.
Oh, I've got that on vinyl.
If you listen to the very first song, it sounds just like Sound Chaser.
Yeah,
I've got that.
I'm going, that sounds like they ripped that off from Steve Howe.
All right, cool.
Anyway, that's just me. I just hear it. I can't help it. I love that Armageddon album. I really dig it. I don't really own it.
It's good. I've got it.
Yeah.
I think I bought it for like $5 or something back 20 years ago.
I couldn't tell you who's on it, but that whoever's playing guitar on there must have went, you know.
I think they only did 2 records, and that was it. I could be wrong.
Hmm.
Someone
I
in
think
the
they're a one
comments
and
correct
done,
me.
Grant.
Huh?
I think they're a one and done.
I thought
Because
they might
Keith
have been
Relf
two.
died right after that album. He got, I think he got electrocuted, died from
Yeah.
electrocution.
I don't know. All right, Uncle Me, let's throw it over to you. What's your next one?
Number 8.
Number 8. What's your
Okay,
number
well, number 8, been a lot of Chris Squire love, and there's
8?
gonna
We
be
love Chris Squire over here.
more Chris Squire love coming, because this is from the Drama album, which like you said, Grant, like it is definitely a showcase of him as a bass player.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that some people forget about how much of a showcase it is, the reason why Drama can be a Yes album without John Anderson, and you barely even notice that it's not John Anderson, it's because Chris Squire becomes almost like the true melodic vocal presence. Like Trevor Horn is great on it, but it's when Chris Squire is with him that it really sounds like Yes, and especially on the song Tempest Fusion, where they basically sing the whole song together. An incredible song. I mean, Drama is special. It's not the first time it's not the first, it's not the only Drama song that's coming on my list, because I love the album so much. A lot of times I look at it like a Steve Howe shining moment album, and it is. But Chris Squire really is the king of this album.
Well, I think that Steve and Chris on this record sound great.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I want to add to what you said. As long as you have Chris Squire singing, it's going to sound like Yes.
That's right.
Because he is such a tour de force and a defining. How do I want to say? I mean, if you look at his solo records, you look at Fish Out of Water, it still sounds like because Chris Squire, in my mind, though Rand may disagree, he was the heart and soul of Yes. He was the sound of Yes.
In many, many ways.
In many, many ways. So as long as you had Chris there, you're good. Without Chris, we're looking at a different animal.
They called him Keeper of the Flame.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So
I'd like to say something about this drama, if I may.
Go ahead.
Tempest Fusion.
Yeah.
The critics were really kind to Drama, and they said,
"You said they were kind."
Yeah, they were kind to Drama.
I didn't think they really cared about it
after Tormato. After Tormato, they were really kind to to Drama. And the I don't know the critic's name. Can't remember his name, but I read it in Circus. He said Trevor Horn sounds more like John Anderson than John Anderson.
At times.
And
I think Trevor Horn's great. I don't have any issue with Trevor Horn at all.
No, I don't think John Anderson did either, but he's probably thinking, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'm going to sound like me no matter what.
But as long as you have Chris Squire doing backgrounds or harmonizing, his voice is so predominant on anything that Yes ever did. As long as you have that I'm going to call it, I mean, he's a bass player, but he's also a foundation in the vocal area.
Yeah.
If you have Chris on there, it sounds like Yes. And Steve Howe, I must say, has a big deal with the sound. But vocal wise, you really need Chris Squire singing. I'm just saying.
I agree.
Well, like on Machine Messiah, for instance, that's all three of them. Steve Howe is singing harmony at the bottom, but he sounds
I'd rather Steve not sing, but
he sounds fine in an ensemble thing when he's like this and it's all even. Steve Howe sounds fine like that. Where people get tired of him is when he does like beginnings and he sings Australia. Now you got to have a tolerance for that.
I think that Steve Howe should not sing. This is my
I don't know if I can agree with that. The last time I saw Yes live was with Chris Squire John Davison and Steve Howe. And Steve Howe was the closest to us. So we were fairly close. I remember being impressed that he could still sing, and he's
improved.
He was not in any way weak. If anything, it was almost a bit of a strength the last time I saw them.
You know,
well,
Steve
it was
Howe
Chris Squire carrying it. Let me guarantee.
There's no question of that. It's no doubt about it.
Steve Howe is singing on Years of No Disgrace, and that's the first time I ever heard him. He's on the bottom. But their 3-note chording has been the secret to Yes all along. It's never been just two people. I mean, maybe sometimes, but you know, like Chris and John, they were big fans of Simon and Garfunkel, and they put Yes together because of Simon and Garfunkel, which explains why they did the cover of America.
Yeah.
But my God, is their cover of America insane or what?
Yeah.
Indeed.
I love it.
Is.
All right, let's keep going. We're never going to get through this.
Track.
We're never going to get through this.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I should be. I'm the ringmaster. I need to keep things moving.
Yeah.
All right. We already did mine, and mine would be the fish. So, Rand, what's your next one?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to go. Oh, that's right.
Well, I did two at once.
All right. Okay. Hang on. I got to put my glasses on. My number 7 is the second track from Tales from Topographic Oceans called The Remembering Hide the Memory. I love this song.
From Tales?
I think it's the best song on Tales from Topographic Oceans.
Wow.
Probably
There's so many cool. You know what? I'll tell you a secret about Tales.
Okay.
It's four suppers readies in a row is what it is. They put all these little tiny songs together and they connected them all. And Rick Wakeman bitched about it, of course, and everything. But I think the Remembering is the best song on that record, and I'll tell you why. Because my favorite sections are where Rick Wakeman plays the mini moog, pretty much by himself. You know that where he goes. That part.
You know, Rand, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I am fully supportive of that.
Anyways, you'll hear it if you listen to it.
Right,
There's
I understand.
on the mini moog where he's just the guy. They let him do whatever he wanted to do, and he still bitched about it. Are you kidding me?
Think about it. Rick Wakeman is brilliant.
I know.
Of course.
Here,
but
they're probably going, hey, Rick, whatever you want to play, have at it.
Indeed.
And in the credits, to give John Anderson an attaboy, he's giving Rick Wakeman credit for coming up with that stuff. He said Rick Wakeman's keyboards play an integral part in the Remembering. So I just think it's really neat. I love that song so much. It's got, like I said, there's all these little mini songs that are put together. I never bothered to count them, but it can be looked at as classical movements or whatever. The rock song on there is that one where it goes, relay all the countdown, dun, 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 dun. And it goes dun 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 dun. That's my favorite part of the song. I'm going, they could have just done a whole song of this. And that
they could have. They could have.
Yeah, that's a neat song. But there's that beat again, that Chris Squire. Boom, 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 boom. And you know where he got it? He got it from Dance to
Frank
the Music,
Zappa?
Sly and the Family Stone.
Oh, nice.
From Larry Graham?
Yeah, he was a huge Larry Graham fan. He loved Larry Graham.
Who doesn't?
Well, listen to Roundabout. Listen to Siberian True. It's all there. Dun 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 dun.
I'll be damned. I didn't realize that.
Pulsing bass. It's just, I listened to Dance to the Music and I went, Squire's doing that. That's where he got it.
Well, he's a maniac. All right. Thanks, Rand. That's great. I got to keep things moving. Uncle Meat, what's your next one?
My number 7.
Number 7.
Well, this is the only appearance for Mr. Trevor Rabin on my list.
Really?
And there are a couple more that, could be borderline, but I absolutely adore a song off of 90125 called Changes. I could listen to that song over and over and over again and find different things that I like about it. I really like that there's kind of a trade-off of their voices, you know, and trade-off of moods going on in that song. Great guitar work. Yeah, just love the song. I love the album in general. 90125 is, to me, it's like top notch. It's like, yes, I love old Genesis, but you know, I love Abacab because it was like a band that has prog and melody and great songwriting. It's kind of what, to me, in ways, happened when 90125. It was like that one-off where almost every song is memorable songwriting. So
Well, I agree 100%.
is number 7 for me.
Well, I do want to add real quick that when that came out when I was a kid, because I was totally into Yes, but that album, I think a lot of Yes fans were turned off by that. But me personally, I wasn't turned off by it at all. I love that record. And I still do. I don't think I chose anything from it, but that doesn't take anything away from it. Like I said, we're choosing 10 of our favorites, and there's so many to choose from. Just
I think Trevor Rabin got inspired by what King Crimson had done in 81 and 82 and 83.
Well, those are my favorite King Crimson albums. The
You
Adrian
listen to the
Belew
beginning.
ones.
Yeah, well, okay. If you listen to the beginning of Changes, that dun 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 dun.
Yeah, it's very King Crimson like.
Very King Crimson. I remember when I first heard it, I went, "Holy crap, this is freaking awesome!" And then it went into a normal rock song, but it's good, you know. I mean, John Anderson comes in about what, like halfway through, and kind of takes over the vocal.
Right.
But I thought Rabin, all those songs on that album were already written by Trevor Rabin.
Yeah,
Well, Trevor, think about it. Trevor was on fire.
Trevor
on fire during that era.
We all know that they were going to call the band Cinema and all that. That's great. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I didn't choose anything.
Nothing wrong with it at all. Yeah. No, I'm not taking anything away from that record at all. We only could do 10. Yeah, not everything.
Well, that's what I was saying. I mean, if you would have done 50, I probably could have had a lot of fun.
We'd be here all night.
I know. The Yes Top 10 Marathon.
All right. Super. Uncle Meat, that was a great freaking selection. I'll hand it to you. All right. My number, what am I at? 7? What are we on? Remind me.
Be your 7, yeah.
Be your 7.
My 7, though, you guys are probably going to laugh because you're going, oh, Grant, you're so full of crap. But it's from Close to the Edge and You and I, which is the second track from Close to the Edge, which I do think, okay, Close to the Edge is close to my favorite record, but it's not. It should be. I think it's the best Yes album they ever produced. That was when everything all totally gelled, everything. It's perfect. It's a perfect Yes album. But it's not necessarily my favorite, which doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's kind of fitting for Yes. It doesn't necessarily.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. But it's got 4 movements. It seems like I have a theme. I'm picking all these tracks with like different movements, but doesn't. And it's like 10 minutes and 12 seconds of pure. What can I say? It's just like the perfect track. Even though it's not my number 1, but none of these are my number 1s. They're all rated the same. But I'm just going to say, and You and I think it's one, I must say, it's prog at its most accessible, but then adventurous and experimental to some degree. I think it's a beautiful track. And it's my number 7. What can I say? All right, Rand, I'm going to go ahead.
Okay. Thank you.
No, go ahead.
And You and I is the most liked Yes song by the females. Especially back then. I could
see that. There's not much.
They love that song.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I can say that it's not on my list, and that's kind of a crime. Not that I forgot it.
It is a crime.
It's supposed to be 10 only, and it was so hard.
They find it
upset.
accessible, and they don't hear anything in NU&I that goes, what are they doing? You know what I mean? Everything makes sense. Everything you
fair.
said about it, Grant, is absolutely spot on. Now, listen, the first time I got to see that live was on the Tales from Graphic Oceans tour.
Mhm.
They had fog on the stage during that that part,
Yeah.
and it's like they were just floating. And they did it again close to the edge too, in the real mellow part where they'd go dink, dink, you know, that part before
Yeah, I
that.
can see that. Yeah.
But anyways, it just, when you're in the crowd and you see that fog and you can only see like their kneecaps and nothing below, it looked like they were playing on clouds. It was an amazing, and I wasn't, you know, hiring nothing. I'm just saying it was an amazing show. It really was.
They look like angels.
They were just like, I don't know how to describe it. This is the best freaking band I've ever heard or seen in my life. I love Yes. Okay,
Oh, now you do.
speaking of that,
All
number
right.
6.
Go. Do it.
I'm
Do
going
it,
with
Rand.
South
Do it.
Side of the Sky.
Mhm.
Fragile. South Side of
Great
the
tune.
Sky
Great pick.
rocks,
Yeah.
but
I
it's
love
got that
Fragile.
beautiful. The storyline of this is amazing. This song is serious. This song is about freezing to death and coming to terms that you're gonna die, and you feel like you're gonna go from cold to warm, because he said he goes, so cold that we cried, so cold that we died, and then he
Mhm.
goes, the warmth when you die, and you're like, what? But it's like he's venturing into like heaven or something, and of course we have heaven came right before the song. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. There's this pulsing mini moog bass after the keyboard. Well, I'll talk about the keyboard solo. The keyboard solo with Rick Wakeman is phenomenal. I had to learn how to play that. He was helpful in teaching me how to play piano. This is one of the coolest things when he goes dun 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 dun, and he works his way up.
Mhm.
Musically, it makes absolutely no sense at all, but it's just like, hey, these are the rules, and this is how we break them. And I loved it. And then when the vocals come in and Chris Squire's bass starts doing that run, you know, it just puts you in a trance. And then it comes in with that mini moan going, and then Bruford goes, and they go back into the song. Phenomenal. I bought the DVD of this in 5.1 surround sound, and I'm playing it, and I'm waiting for that pulsing Moog. It's not there. They mixed it out.
Bastards.
I was
You were
so
ripped off, Rand. You were
So
ripped
Steven
off.
Wilson,
Great choice.
15 years later, Steven Wilson does a 5.1 mix of it. And
Yeah.
he put it back in.
Nice.
So God bless Steven Wilson. Yeah, but I just love South Side of the Sky.
Okay.
And that guitar solo
that
at
song.
the end of the tune where there's nobody singing and Steve just gets to just jazz away in his own. Oh my God. This
Amazing.
song, I swear to God, this is the best song on Fragile. I know Heart of the Sunrise is great. I love it. I love Long Distance One Around. I love Roundabout. I love the solo stuff. But I swear to God, South Side of the Sky. And we begged and begged and begged for this band to play this live. And I didn't see it until the 2003 tour when they started bringing it out into the set.
They finally listened to you.
They tried it back in 1972, and I guess it was a failure, and they decided to shelve it for 30 years.
Crazy.
Right. Excellent choice. Excellent choice, Rand. I appreciate it. Uncle Meat, let's throw it over to you. What's your next one?
Number 6.
Number
Back to the
6.
drama and back to the drama album. And I'll never forget the first time I heard it. I was at a friend's place many years ago. He's like, "Hey, have you ever heard this album?" I'm like, "No, I've never heard that Yes album. I actually heard some bad things about it." And not just say we may have had a jazz cigarette or two, whatever. And
oh my goodness.
he I remember him playing it on vinyl, cracking vinyl, and loud as like very, very loud. And Machine Messiah starts, that intro fades in. And I don't know, just being so blown away. I'm like, I can't believe that Yes is this heavy. I did like, how did I miss this album? And then I just was blown away by Steve Howe with his kind of his angry sound, and of course the deep bass of Chris Squire. And I love the song Machine Messiah. It had to be on my list, and that's my number 6.
And I can't argue with that. It's absolutely brilliant.
Love it.
Brilliant. All right,
Love it.
my next
Can I
one.
say something real quick about Machine Messiah?
Well, if you're going to be quick, Rand, for God's
When
sake.
I first heard it with my drummer friend, the first thing I thought of when I heard those first 3 notes.
Oh, come on, for God's sake. Black Sabbath, come on.
Dun, 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 dun,
No, I never heard that.
Well, it's got a bit of a Sabbath vibe in the sound.
Totally does.
I
And
never
guess
heard
what?
that.
I forgot to
No.
tell you, the first time I saw Yes, they opened for Black Sabbath.
Wow.
I never heard that. I think you're on crack.
That's how Rick Wakeman became friends with the band.
Oh yeah.
Is that right? Is that true?
They toured the country together.
All right. Excellent. Excellent trivia. All right. My next one is, I don't know how you want to look at this, but it was a track on Yesterday's, but America. And I have a question for the panel because I don't know the answer to this, but maybe you do. On the bonus tracks, we've got bonus tracks on Fragile and Close to the Edge that both have America. One is an edited version and one is 10 minutes and 33 seconds. I really don't know the background, why there's 2 different ones. What was on yet? I figured Mr. Kelly would know. What version's on Yesterday's?
Well,
I never bought it because I already had all the tracks.
The long
I think the
version
edited version is on Yesterday's.
The
Edited
long
version?
version is on, no,
Go ahead.
the long version is on Yesterday's.
Oh, it
Where
is.
did the edited version come from?
There was an album that Atlantic put out called The Age of Atlantic, and they had Atlantic bands. One of them was Yes, and they only had so much room for the songs, so they edited it down, took out the jam session.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd heard it once on the radio, I think, in Las Vegas, but I didn't think anything of it because the jam session wasn't there. So when Yesterday's came out, and again, I didn't even know about the first 2 albums because they weren't sold in America back then. You had to order those or see them in an import store or a store that had imports. And I was buying most of my music on Nellis Air Force Base. So they were only getting the American domestic things. So I thought, because there was no internet back then, I thought that the Yes album was the first record.
Well, you would think the way it sounds.
Yeah, I mean, you have no other, and then you read about them and stuff, and they say, oh, well, there's these 2 albums. One's called Yes and Time and a Word. No, they didn't put that in any of the interviews or reviews or anything. So there was no way to find out. And so when Yesterday's came out, I went, holy crap, what are these songs? Well, when you buy an 8-track tape, you don't get any information. You get song titles, and you get a record company, and you get a copyright date, and that's it. So you buy the thing and you sit and listen to it. So I bought the LP because I had a friend that had a turntable.
Yeah.
I could go over to his house. And that's what I used to do. I'd buy a Prague CD, 8-track tape, and then I'd also go over to the Tower Records LP store and buy the record and open it up over at his place, and we would look at all the innards, the sleeves and all that, and all the information about that's in there. So we found out that Peter Banks was the main guitar player, who I already knew about because Flash had released Small Beginnings and that first Flash album, which I already owned. And I did not know he was in Yes. And I didn't know Tony Kaye was in Yes, and they're both on the first Flash album. I just said, this sounds a lot like Yes. I love this.
Got
So
2
find
people
out
on.
later on that America's got Steve Howe and Bill Bruford on it, but everything else on Yesterday's is from the first 2 albums. And these were all brand new songs to us. And Dear Father was the only available place to hear that, which was the B-side to I think Time and a Word was on yesterday's, and it was the last song of the album. So we were just going, what are these things? And I go, well, I recognize this guy's name, Peter Banks. I know him from Flash. I didn't know he was in Yes. It's just like unbelievable. You know, the lack of information in those days. I mean, it was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
I believe that America was recorded during the Fragile sessions.
Yeah, because it was on it was a bonus track on the Fragile reissue.
Yeah, that's what I put it on there. Why it's on the Close to the Edge reissue, I don't know, but
Well,
yeah,
why not?
I mean, you can't
what the
have
hell?
To me, there's no way to get too much of Yes, so I have no problem with it popping
Great
up here.
choice.
And you know, you can have
But I
different
love it,
mixes
and I love
and
the
different
long.
productions.
But I
that
love it.
song
I
too.
love the long version. I like the jam.
Yeah,
Love the long version.
yeah.
I'm just gonna leave it there. Absolutely love it.
Oh, and I'm
Well,
convinced that Steve Howe plays the Telecaster on America.
Based on what
Oh,
we
you can
discussed
hear it
today,
on
he
that
plays Telecaster all the time.
But you
He
can
sounds
really,
country
it
western.
really
I
sounds
thought
like a
he sounded-
Telecaster on that song.
Yeah, and I thought he sounded country western on that song.
It
But when
very
they
much
do
so.
it live,
Yeah.
he uses the ES 175.
Well,
I don't necessarily
hey,
love
it's Steve's
the live
world.
versions
We
of that
just
song.
live in it.
Exactly.
There you
All
go.
right, Rand, what's your next one?
Starship Trooper, flying
There you go.
high above.
See, I did that. That was my number 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you said all we could say about it. I really
Okay.
can't say it. I took a lot of space, so go.
That's all right. Cool. Uncle, all right, Starship Trooper. Uncle Meat, what's your next one?
Well, to move things right along, Rand said all he needed to say about South Side of the Sky, which it kind of starts 5, 4, 3, 2 are all Bruford. And I mean, as much as I love Alan White, I adore him, and he's the stallion of the band because he's been in. Bruford really wasn't in there much, but
but he's so brilliant.
He's so expressive with his beats. Everything. I love him so much. So
He's my favorite drummer ever.
South Side of the Sky is my number 5.
So I'm just curious. I'm going to throw it since we're moving along. This is awesome. Bill Bruford, best Yes drummer.
Oh God, yeah.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Well, you know, it's the tone. I mean, Alan's a great player, but he doesn't have the sound.
Even in UK, though, I must say, you look at Terry Bozzio and his work that he did in UK.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting comparison.
Both of them are brilliant.
But to me, that's two different bands using the same name. I don't hear it as, because when you lose Alan Holdsworth, you lose a huge part of the UK. And Bruford, I love him to death. I think he plays great on that album, but that's not my favorite Bruford.
How do you feel about Terry Bozzio on those records?
I love him, but I just told you,
incredible.
It's a trio, and it seems like a different band to me. It just
I don't see it that way. I can do without Alan Holdsworth, and I'm just fine.
You're okay. You're fine.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next one. My next one, Rand already mentioned it. It's Gates of Delirium. I can't add anything more than
very nice.
I can't add any more than what Rand said. We're covering a lot of stuff that we've already. Well, this is kind of cool because we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
All right, Rand, I'm going to throw it over to you. What's your next one?
Your number 4.
What?
Yeah, Rand's number 4.
Yeah, Rand's number 4. What's your number 4?
Yours is No Disgrace.
See, I didn't even put that in there. The only
it should have been on my list.
I don't blame you for not putting it on there. The only reason I didn't include it, it's great, don't get me wrong, but it's so overplayed.
My favorite.
That's exactly why it's not on my list.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you real quick.
My
favorite song is where Steve Howe goes from the Joe Pass jazz guitaring or Wes Montgomery or wherever he is, and
I think probably Wes Montgomery is what I'm hearing. Go ahead.
Yeah. And he turns on the fuzz box. Well, that's what Bruford said, that he plays Wes Montgomery all over the album. But he turns on the fuzz box on that ES 175, and that thing just takes off like a freaking Ebo. It's like a sustained rocket. And I just love that
A
solo.
sustained rocket. I like that.
That
Yeah.
might be my favorite Steve Howe solo in Yours Is Disgrace. I love that solo.
Well,
Very good.
I must say, you have to admit, on that record, Steve Howe is just a force.
Oh, he's on fire. And we didn't even know he was. He just came out of the blue, you know. I heard real quick, I heard Your Move on the radio in Las Vegas, and I didn't know who it was. And I said, that is really neat. I called up the station because in those days you could request songs and talk to DJs and stuff. And I said, hey, what was that song you just played? And he goes, what song? And I go, I don't know. Some chick was singing about, you know, move one step forward, one step back. Sound like chess. And he goes, oh, that's that band. Yes, that was called Your Move. And they didn't play I've Seen All Good People. They just played Your Move.
Mhm.
And I said, God, she's really good. And he goes, I got news for you, dude. That's a guy.
Dude's got a
His name is
penis.
Johnny Anderson. And
That
right
penis.
then, the very next day, I went to the Bass Exchange on the bass, and I
Mhm.
bought the Yes album, and I never looked back.
Cool.
Look at you, Rand. Damn. All right.
Where are we? That's my number 4.
What's your number 4?
My number 4, it's been said before. I'll just quickly reiterate on the Steve Howe thing and the reason why this is number 4. It recently moved up my list because I was played the live version or replayed recently, the live version from Keys to Ascension, and it is Starship Trooper. That version on Keys to Ascension, Steve Howe is on flipping fire.
Oh, yeah.
Going nuts. And I love
know.
it. I could listen to it over and over and over again. It's just beautiful. So Starship Trooper had to move up my list. And I have been ranking. I totally respect your choice was to do the 10 and not rank because it was easier.
Right.
I mean, it just was hard, but Starship Trooper had to be number 4.
Yeah, well, they started closing shows with that because it was the perfect ending. Worm,
It
and
is.
then they could say goodnight. No
It's
encore.
it's the Prague Layla. It just
Oh, yeah.
needs to be the ender.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it is now number 4 for Grant.
Yeah,
It's
Grant.
my number 4. Wow. This is, I don't think anybody, I'm trying to think, has anybody even mentioned anything from this record? But I'm gonna go with, where's my, oh, there it is. Okay. I'm gonna go with the title track off of Going for the One.
Great song.
You know, we went very experimental. We had Tails, we had, you know, I'm going to have a brain crisis. A relayer. You know, we're getting very experimental, but with Going for the One, we're kind of going back to more of that Yes album type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I listen to Going for the One, it just seems almost like a collection of singles to some degree. I think all the tracks on Going for the One are very accessible, but yet creative, proggy. But the thing about Yes is that they can be very progressive, but accessible at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think on Going for the One, and I think the Yes album, I think those two records really promote that aspect in the band. But Going for the One, the slide on Going for the One, holy mackerel.
It's neat
Yeah,
because it's not something you hear often.
I was going
Right.
to point that out. I think it's historic. I think it's the
It's
first time
historic.
a steel guitar was used on an entire rock song. I don't think it's ever been done.
I don't think it's been done either, but when you
Until
listen to it,
1977. Yeah.
but think about it, steel guitar pretty
Yeah,
much
Great
was,
guitar work.
but think about it, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Steel guitar, they use that for country and western, kids.
Right.
But Steve Howe is able to take that steel guitar and use it as a completely different tool in a rock setting or progressive rock setting. And I mean, I've seen him live and he uses the steel all the time, but Man, oh man, his use on Going for the One is absolutely stunning and one of my favorite tracks. Well, like I said, we're getting up to number. That's my number 4. We're getting up pretty high, boys.
Yeah, but
Getting up there
you
on the
know
list.
what? Think about this. He broke a rule by doing that
What's the
because
rule?
the rule is you don't play lead guitar through a lead vocal, and he did it. He did it all the way through the whole song, and nobody ever bitched about it.
It's interesting. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it
because
would've-
all through that
When they're
end of
singing
it,
and
parts.
stuff, and he's going, woo, woo, woo,
he's
Yeah, he's just
wailing
going.
through the whole end of it.
he's
Yeah.
wailing. And,
He is.
and the only time he's not playing it through the vocal is when he goes, and the verses I've sang don't have much weight, because he's doing chords there. He's going blah, 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 blah. But on Listen in Time, just the whole freaking thing is just out to lunch. Also, another fun fact about this song, and I don't know if anybody put this together but me, Rick Wakeman uses the mini Moog at the least amount he's ever used it. He only uses it during that where there's no vocals and they're just kind of vamping and stuff, and Steve Howe playing a solo, and when he goes dun dun, and you hear this with the mini Moog, and that's it. He's only doing those chromatic runs, and he's done. He never uses it again.
All right,
So short.
excellent. So that's my choice. Excellent.
Beautiful.
All right, Rand, what's your
I love
next
that
one?
song. I really do.
Oh, hell
And it's
yes, you
about
do. It's a
sport.
great record.
By the way, it's about sports. The song is about sporting, you know, like soccer and stuff like that, horse racing, whatever. It's all about
Okay.
sport. Okay, so that's why it's
Well,
going
they
to,
are English.
to be the winner. Yeah. All right. Now, my number 3 is "And You and I."
Holy crap.
I'm close to the edge.
Mm-hmm.
I just
Don't blame it. Yep.
absolute masterpiece. I've seen
It's
it
a
so many times,
masterpiece.
and I've seen it with a symphony. Okay, I'm done.
It's
Yeah,
gorgeous.
it's a masterpiece. All right, Meat,
Gorgeous
what's
song.
your next one?
My number 3 has been said before.
Go
and
ahead.
and it is again.
It's like great minds think alike on this show for some reason.
I
Yes,
love the
fans
Bill.
unite.
I love the Bill Bruford drum work
Mhm.
on this. I love everything about this song. I love the long version of this, most especially. I love the little. Oh
yeah,
for some reason it kind of reminds me of Footloose, but it's just an amazing song. But the song "America" had to be on my list. It could have been even higher, but number 3 it is. I have loved the song and adored it from the first second I heard it. It's made me go back and appreciate Simon and Garfunkel that I didn't really appreciate before I heard the song "America" by Yes.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's doing its job. Like,
That's beautiful.
great track.
Quick fun fact about America. I forgot
Go
to
ahead.
mention. Bill Bruford talks about the bongos at the end of the song,
Mhm.
played on a Mellotron. All he did was push one key down, and you can hear the bongos going.
I did not know there was a bongo setting on the Mellotron.
I think I got it, but because I bought all the cards that were available, and they were $500 a piece, so I got 3 of them.
Look
Good.
at you, Rand, Mr. Mellotron.
Mellotron was 2,000, so that adds up.
Yeah, it does. All right, my next one is still off Going for the One, and I think it's one of John Anderson's masterpieces, though. But the funny thing is about this track, you would think this track would be like an epic. You would think this track would be one of those long pieces that they would do, but it's only like 3 minutes and 47 seconds. And the track I'm talking about is Wondrous Stories off Going for
I
the
knew
One.
it. I knew you were going to say that.
Well, think about it. You've got Going for the One opening side 1 and Wondrous Stories opening side 2. Holy crap. There is a show where we talk about sequencing, and I want to say that Going for the One as an album is one of the most perfectly sequenced Yes records ever.
I
Other
agree.
than, I must say, Fragile is perfect and close to the edge. You know what? I may even open that even further, because if you listen, well, me personally, any of this era a lot of these Yes records, you almost have to listen to them as a complete work, because I think they were probably all, conceptualized as a complete work to some degree. But we've only got we've got 5 tracks on Going for the One, but holy crap. Of course, Awaken takes up 15 minutes. But Wondrous Stories, one of John Anderson's best. I think.
I'm not surprised that you personally are putting that song on your list, considering the hat you're wearing, and I know you're a huge Beatles fan. And to me,
of course,
that song is Yes once again showing their obvious Beatles influence.
Well, obvious, Yes loves the Beatles, obviously.
Yeah.
Chris Squire makes his mark on that song in a very unique way. I noticed it many times I listened to it, because it's a simple song. Mm-hmm. His part where he's going to play his notes are simple notes, but where he makes it unique is he plays off the beat. You'll hear this 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, boom. He'll play on the half of the second beat or something. He'll put the note in weird places, and it's all through that song. And it's just he's my favorite bass player, obviously, but it's just like you said, Grant, about the sequencing. When you're doing LPs and you listen to Parallels and you go, holy crap, what a side one that was. And you turn it over and you get this beautiful beginning of Year Move guitar. It's the same instrument, the 10-string Portuguese guitar. And on the Yes album, it's misspelled. I mean, not misspelled, but they call it a Bachalia, but Steve Howe said that's not what it is. They made a mistake. But anyways, to get back to this song, it's just a gorgeous song. It just sounds so inviting. It's like being in a waterfall from Parallels and then landing in a nice serene pool where you just can lay on your back and float. And that's what it feels like. Wondrous Stories. It just doesn't have any jerky changes in it. It's all flowing and everything. It's even more.
It's very smooth. Yep.
Yeah, it's even more gorgeous when you think about it than To Be Over, because of the changes To Be Over has. They do that country western thing with the steel guitar in that song. I could see why Wakeman didn't want to play that music. It just wasn't his thing. But he loved coming in on Going for the One. But look how long he stayed. He stayed 2 albums and he split.
Well, I do agree that it's
Rand, it's Rick Wakeman's world, but we live in it. He's like the Neil Young of Yes.
I know he's quit Yes 4 or 5 times.
Funny.
He's like Neil in CSNY.
I do agree with you.
I may leave.
The Wonder Stories is definitely a strong note for John Anderson. It's definitely. It's very, very him. It's kind of, to me, it's in the territory of my earlier choice of Onward. Those songs to me are
it's definitely beautiful. Yeah,
I love when John Anderson can be that, and they don't necessarily have to rely on the busyness.
Right.
They can rely on the melody.
Yep, I agree 100%. Yeah. All right, Rand Kelly, what's your next one?
Okay, number 2 is Siberian Cartru.
No, I did not choose that in my list, but
I did not choose it either.
It's great. Well, love it. They're all great, for God's sakes, Grant.
There's a cover of this song on a Magna Carta Yes compilation called Tales from Yesterday. The band is called Stanley Snail. And everybody tried to figure out why are they called Stanley Snail. And it's Kevin Gilbert, Mike Keneally, Brian Beller, I think, on bass, and Nick DiBergiolo on drums. And it's incredible, right? So they do, in the middle of this, they go into a section of Bruford's One of a Kind album and do the Sahara of Snow part 1. And Mike Keneally does like an Alan Halsworth thing. So where I'm going with this is people were trying to figure out, why are you called Stanley Snail?
Mhm.
The first, I'm not the first, but the second verse opens up with gold stainless nail. And you can do stainless nail and Stanley Snail singing it and make it sound the same. And that's what they do. And that's where they got their name. But yeah, I love Siberian Cartru. And again, it's got that Larry Graham bass. Boom, 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 boom. Sing, bird of prey, dance to the music. It's the same thing. It's the same tempo. It's the same
Chris
feel.
loved Larry. Let's leave it at
Oh,
that.
I forgot to mention something too. When you were
Go ahead.
choosing Going for the One, when
Mhm.
I met Alan White, I had just recently listened to George Harrison's uh, All Things Must Pass album because they remastered it or something. And my favorite song on there is Wawa. I love Wawa. So I was listening to that and I'm going, you know, the feel of Wawa sounds a lot like Going for the One. So when I went to see Yes and I got to meet the band, I asked Alan White if he realized that sounded the same. And he goes, I played on Wawa. They didn't give me credit.
So, oh,
So I said, had you ever
maybe
heard
there you go. That's why it
I
all
said,
makes
had you
sense.
ever heard anybody figure that out? And he goes, no, you're the first.
Cool.
That was June 30th, 2001.
So now we have an exclusive on Grant's Rock Warehouse. We know that Alan White played on Wawa. We heard
He
it
said
from
he
the
did.
man.
And I
Hey,
can't
I
imagine
believe
him
it.
making it up. He's credited on the album, and they just didn't say what songs those drummers were playing.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you think about it, wah, wah, that feel, I don't need no wah wah, and it's like it's the drum beat is identical, and the meter is pretty close. I don't know if it's the exact tempo, but it's the feel, it's the style of the playing. I go, God, that sounds so much like Alan White on Going for the One. So I beat him in my room over next door there, and I went, I can't believe this, and nobody talked about it. Nobody realized it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I found out, when he told me, I played on that song. That's me, and I'm going like, what? So that was pretty special.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, Meat, you're up. What's your next one?
Well, my number two is well, let's put it this way: Siberian Catru and oh boy, I got a mental block. We've just been talking about it all night. The other tune on Close to the Edge that's been mentioned, and You and I. Sorry, duh. Both could have easily been on my list, very, very, very easily. They weren't, but I like the title track Close to the Edge so much, and the other song so much, that Rush is my favorite band. And I would say, to me, the greatest prog album of all time is Hemispheres by Rush. Very close second. Greatest prog album of all time to me is Close to the Edge by Yes. The song Close to the Edge, it is possible that I have listened to that specific song much more than anything more, even my number one song, because I have so many times just put on Close to the Edge and marveled at it. It's the perfect pair of pants. It's the perfect everything. It's an amazing track that I will always adore. And it's not even my number one. That's how much I love Yes. But my number two is the incredible Close to the Edge song. There it is.
All right. Beautiful. All right. My next one, actually, all right, my next two come up from the same record. I guess what is this? My number two? I see, like,
it is
again.
number two. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, me. But it's not like these are really ranked, even though they sound ranked. My number two is probably one of the greatest tracks ever considered for drama, and it's Tempest Fugit, which I think,
Love it.
of course, all the Yes fans think that's just incredible. Is that I'm trying to remember because I didn't listen to it because it's just ingrained in my memory. But is that the record is that the album he's playing the Electra Outlaw bass on? I know he's playing an Electra Outlaw bass on a lot of those tracks, but is that the track he's playing it, or is it doesn't really happen?
Yeah, it is. He plays it in the video, that the promotional video. They did that and Into the Lens.
Yeah,
And
because
he plays
when
it
they
on
would
both
play it
songs.
live, he would play that Electra bass.
Yeah, he plays it on. He called it the Alvarez Company, but yeah, you're right. It was
Well,
an
it's
yeah. But
That's such a great song. It had to be on my list too.
He played it on both songs. I don't think he played it on Machine Messiah though. I think that's Rick.
That is definitely a Rick and
that record.
You can
it's
hear
hard
it.
for me to tell on that record.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's got a built-in phase shifter.
Oh, I know all about it. You
Yeah.
can put 2 different effects in those at the
I
time.
would
Back
love to
then,
own one of those.
well, back when I was a kid, there was one at the used guitar store. I almost bought
But
one.
in the meantime, I've got this.
And Arion
phase shifter. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to sell those
$10.
back
I
in
got this for $10.
well, they were
Brand new.
cheap back in the 80s, so you gotta they're cheap still.
Well, I've got the stereo chorus, and Mark Fonder swears by me. He says, if you can get your hands on one of these, you got the best chorus ever made. I paid $10 for it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good for you. But anyway, Tempest Fugit, that's my number 2. Rand, what's your number 2?
Oh, that's his number 1.
Oh, I guess that's your number 1. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Damn it. I'm glad Uncle Meat's here to keep me in line, because
Drum roll.
if people don't keep me in line,
This hurts
these
my
shows
knee.
go out of control.
I'm hurting my knee.
We're all in it together.
All right.
Let me go, because I'm hurting my knee.
Okay.
Drum roll. Down to the edge, close by the river, close to the edge, round by the corner. To me, this is the greatest song ever written.
It's real close to me too.
I love this song.
It's up
For
there.
so many reasons I don't have time to tell you. But I will tell you one thing. Edge in German is spelled R-A-N-D.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I found out. You know how I found out? On the back of the Kraftwerk Autobahn album, it says Weissenstreifen Gruner Rand.
Oh yeah.
And Rand means edge of the highway, of the Autobahn. And anyways, that's enough of my self-promotion. But I just love this song. Like I said, this thing does so many things. To me, it's every time I listen to it, I never get tired of it. The first time I heard it was just absolutely amazing. I bought it in Las Vegas. At the same night, I bought Emerson, Lake and Palmer Trilogy on 8-track, 2 8-tracks. And my roommate was a Yes fan too, David. And he didn't know the album had come out because I didn't know the album had come out. I was just messing around downtown in Vegas and saw it in the racks and decided to buy it. I came home and I said, I got 2 new 8-tracks and I'm not going to tell you which one I'm playing. And I put it in and he's hearing that beginning and stuff. And he's just dumbfounded. He has no idea. And as soon as they started going, he goes, oh my God, this is the new Yes. And he got it. He figured it out. And I didn't think he would figure it out until John started singing. But John doesn't sing for 4 minutes, right? So yeah, to me, this is just it's the greatest song ever written. Now, the fun facts about this song is Bill Bruford and the band never really played the whole song together in the studio. It was always patched together in little pieces. So the first time Bill Bruford ever got to play it live was when he toured with Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe. That was the first time he got to play it live. And they didn't know what it was going to sound like until they heard what Eddie Offord had patched together. But I think Eddie Offord is a genius because, I mean, he created, to me, the perfect album, and that's the perfect song. Close to the Edge is my absolute number 1 favorite, everything.
There you go.
Great pick. I
can't argue with
to be my number 1.
I can't argue with any of these. So, all right, Meat, what's your number 1?
Okay, well, my number 1, it comes to me. The most memorable thing for me is when I did see the Union tour in the round. Like I said, we were 3rd row, and the revolving stage. And now the first time I had seen Yes, the first time I had seen them was I had seen the Anderson Rupert Wakeman and How tour, so I didn't get a chance to see Chris Squire. I did see Tony Levin, so I can't complain. But
I saw Jeff Berlin.
Nothing wrong with Tony Levin.
Of course, yeah. And then basically, I remember I was wearing an old shirt of my mother's, which was an original Woodstock kind of, there's a certain name for those shirts that when you go like this, the arms drag down. It's like a hippie shirt. There's a certain name that is escaping me right now.
I know what you're talking about, but they look like Indian. They're like,
yeah, it was a certain
from India.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. And it was like a brownish.
Yeah, I had one of those when I was a kid.
And the show starts, and now it is the round going around, and Chris Squire is wearing the same fucking shirt. Okay.
Great minds think alike.
So every time he came around, he's pointing at me. So I'm just like, oh, I'm in heaven. It's just this connection keeps happening. Right. But that show is most memorable, and I've talked to several people about this.
Where was the venue?
It's a Sky Dome.
Oh, I'll be.
So it was. The sound was not amazing. It could have been better. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's pretty hard with eight instruments in a cavern like Sky Dome, and it was like half the Sky Dome. Yeah, Toronto.
Because you can probably look this up online and see the shirt.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. I've never thought about.
You could relive your past glories.
I should. You know what? I'm gonna do that.
But go to Forgotten Yesterdays.
The one song that blew everyone's mind. The song played, and when the song ended, it was just silence, and there was a hush, and like 3 seconds of silence, and then people just exploded, and I'll never forget it. And it is from Going for the One. It is Awaken. It will always be my favorite Yes song. There will never be another Yes song that will be more than that. And there are several of my Yes buddies that all feel the same way, that they're by far their favorite Yes song of all time. So Awaken, there it is, number one.
You know, if I was doing a top 10 live song thing, I would have chosen the 8-piece Awaken that we saw in the Bay Area. They just brought the house down. I mean, literally, the gods came out of the sky and blessed these 8 guys and said, "You guys are the best band on the planet at this very moment." Mm-hmm. But they couldn't sustain it. They couldn't sustain it because look what happened after this. Talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, different. Mm-hmm. Very different.
I like Talk.
I like it. I don't love it.
I have to say this. I've never heard it.
You've never
heard it, but I haven't heard it a lot.
I haven't.
What are you doing? You should at least listen to it once.
It's worth a listen.
Yeah, there's some good stuff on there. And the stream's a masterpiece.
I'll order it. How's that? I don't just want to listen to it. I'll just buy it.
Just listen. Yeah, but don't try to get the LP because it's.
I'll get the CD. Of course, I'm not buying the LP. You crazy?
Yeah, they're like $250.
Screw that. That's a whole other show.
Yeah.
All right, my number one. Like I said, this is not really my number one, but it kind of is. And we're going off the Drama record, and I think that the bass playing on this record, absolutely incredible. Some of Chris Squire's best work, and I've said that already before, but they were on fire. I don't know, it's because they got Jeff Downs in the band and Trevor Horn, but holy crap, this is Contrarian, and this isn't even the Contrarians. But does it really happen? Is my
Love
number
that
one.
song.
Well, it's so great. The Chris Squire bass part that leads that off. Holy crap. When I was a kid, oh my God. And don't forget, I love Chris Squire. Chris Squire, Paul McCartney, Geddy Lee, all those guys. The like I said, I keep repeating myself, but my God, the playing on Drama is absolutely incredible. And this song, in fact, I've always loved Drama. It's my favorite Yes record, which goes against everything on the planet. But It is what it is.
Well, if you hate John Anderson, no.
I
I'm
don't.
just
I
kidding.
love John Anderson, but there's
Great
something
song.
about drama.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, but that's the thing.
Yeah,
People couldn't understand John Anderson not being on a record. But what I'm saying after Tormato, which is fine, but they're a little tired. You could say that. They might be a little tired. They were reinvigorated on drama. And it was probably because they had new blood, really new blood. And you got Trevor Horn and Jeff Downs. And you still, even though you lost, let me come back to this for a second. On 90125, I know we got Tony K back, but why did Jeff Downs leave?
He joined Asia.
Yeah, but wait a minute. What year?
I
Wait a
think
minute.
they were still.
So
Yeah,
81,
he went to
80,
Asia.
82. That's right.
Steve
That's
Howe
right.
and Jeff Downs quit Yes to join Asia, and
That's
Rick
right.
Wakeman and John Anderson, weren't a
Union-
part of it.
Right.
And it makes sense because
Chris
Steve
Squire
Howe, not in Yes,
Chris-
but in Asia.
Well, what I was going to
Sorry,
say
I
is
had a
Chris
brain
Squire-
glitch. I knew that.
Yeah.
Chris
God's
Squire and Alan White wanted to do a band with Jimmy Page and call it XYZ.
I've
And
heard about that.
That's where
yeah.
that's where some of the tunes from what did they end up using?
Well, cinema.
Oh, on no, they ended up using some of those tunes for Mind Drive.
Mhm.
Mind Drive lick came from Jimmy Page. That Morse
It's a great
code
tune,
kind
too.
of playing.
Yeah, I
That
love
was-
that song.
I've heard that XYZ stuff. It's really good. I like it a lot.
And I must say, if no one has ever picked up the the reissue on Rhino, it is jam-packed, full
Yeah.
of bonus material.
Yeah,
Unlike
Satellite.
some of the other Yes reissues, but Drama's got all the cinema stuff on it.
Yeah,
It's well worth picking up. If
Mm.
you're a
Yeah.
Yes fan, if you're a Yes fan, you probably have all this.
Very neat.
Who am I
Well,
talking
there's-
to here?
it's funny you mentioned the bass on Does It Really Happen?
Mhm.
That's not the Rickenbacker. He's using a Gibson Thunderbird because he got inspired by John Entwistle and the Who used one of those during the early part of the
Mhm.
career. So that's why it's got that tone. And he also uses it on Release on Tormato. It's
I
got a
love that
certain
song.
sound.
The
it almost
thing
made
with
my
Chris
list, by the way.
Squire, though, even though you always identify him with the Rickenbacker.
He used all kinds of different basses.
I know, but he has such a distinct tonality that encompasses himself.
Yeah, you know
It's
why?
like you hear guitar players, like you go, "Oh my God,
Well,
that's
you know
Jimi
why?
Hendrix." Go
When
ahead.
he played with a pick, right, kind of like this, but it was silver, a little thicker. And what he would do, he had like a thumbnail, and he would like stick his thumb right on the edge of it,
Mhm.
and then he would pick the string like that. So you could hear the pick and then his thumbnail. It was kind of like a ding ding sound. It got real fast, but that was the secret to his sound, the way he played. So any bass he played, he was always going to sound like him.
Right. And that's a true statement. He does.
Yeah,
He
because he had a
does.
Fender Jazz
Totally
bass,
does.
he had a Fender Telecaster bass.
Mhm.
He used a lot of different
That
kinds of,
Electra, I had the Electra, and it still
Yeah.
sounded like Chris Squire.
yeah.
I'm going to
But,
get one of those
But
Electras.
does it really happen? You can hear on the Tormato reissue,
Mhm.
you can hear early demo of that with John Anderson kind of goofing around in the background. He sounds like he's like 20 feet away from the microphone trying to sing it. And I think Patrick Moraz is playing keyboards on that, but I can't be for sure. But that's an old song that they had laying around.
Patrick Moraz could very well be on there. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe someone in the comments. Please leave a comment.
Oh, Patrick Moraz said that I'm the one that came up with that chord progression in Awaken,
Mm.
that circle of fifths or what do you want to call it.
Mm.
But he didn't get any credit for it. He was pissed.
Yeah.
See,
But by then he joined the Moody Blues. He didn't really care.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's moved on. Hanging out with Justin Hayward, for God's sake.
They didn't treat him very good either.
Well,
Anyway,
Patrick,
that's a story. For another
that's a
time.
whole. That's a whole other. That's a whole other. That's a whole other episode. All right,
Hey.
gentlemen, let's wrap this dog up. We've almost
Okay.
gone 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah. 8:50.
Oh, you're gonna have fun editing this.
Oh, I'm not going to edit it. It's just we're putting it up. All right. I want to thank Rand Kelly and Uncle Meat. Both of these gentlemen you can see on the Contrarians. They contribute regularly, but tonight they're on the Grant's Prague Warehouse. What a beautiful day. I want to
Awesome.
thank both of you gentlemen for coming on and talking Yes. Both very knowledgeable, both love Yes. We all love Yes on this program. And the world needs more Yes. I'm going to leave it at that.
But
Great
Jeff
picks,
Dan
guys.
said you could
But
never
I'm
have
not-
too much yes.
I don't think anybody chose anything post 1983, right? Other than me, you might have.
Something off of 90125.
That's 83.
Well, Be the One.
That's right, Be the One.
Fairly late.
Yeah,
but
I'd like to add to that too.
Go ahead.
The Key Studio album is really worth getting if you like prog.
it's
That's
amazing.
their last prog album.
Yeah.
Their
And
last
the best
program-
live
They took
versions
away all
of
the
several
live
songs.
Yeah, they took away all the live songs and just put the studio stuff on there. And
Yeah.
it came out so much later. I mean, this was like
Yeah.
96 and it didn't get released until 2001. But
Yeah.
I love the record and it's got Mind Drive on it. That is. It's got a lot of epics on there. And
Mhm.
it's just a great, great, great album. I love
I
it.
agree.
All right.
Footprints and that's it.
All right. We're wrapping this dog up because this was a long one. We haven't had one of these long, epic conversations, but it all fits in with Yes. So no wonder it went long. Maybe doing
stuff.
10 tracks was a little overzealous, but
Might have been.
whatever.
it
Maybe
was
just
fun.
a little bit. It was
You
fun.
can never get too much yes, Grant.
That's
I loved
what
it.
I understood. All right.
Fun stuff,
Thanks,
guys.
gentlemen, for coming. Please like, subscribe, make a comment, and we'll see you on the next one. All right. Good night, everybody. I appreciate it.
Peace.
Have a good one.